Hello everyone. Ngasi aina padoribasi sina kari kauge haibu Silent Spring kawi. Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Magi first chapter duni haitare. First chapter. So this book is related to ecology. Ecology ga mari lainai aduga yamna maru oiba message pi haitare. 1960 ga to the rakinoma yan hana 1962 the first published to give a book ni, and yet this is still relevant till today. Ngasi bodum relevant to idea yam important toy satra khakta na te na khanganing se even teachers mayam book ta loinamak pahaningi ko sigi se it is very beautiful but kaino bu ai gi haibra Satra maths ki oza boy ki habra bio ki oza boy ki habra ma boy ki habra paningi satra busu chamani ADC subject lowi si pam de have the toning there. It is related to our environment, a quick environment ka mari lena toini, and this gives a very important message ang pi haitare. So asang ba pulap sidi pawi damni ay gidi matek horok pagi idea matsam gutang piram gen tawuni Magi first chapter se Sibukari kauge haibu a fable for tomorrow hai. Fable haibadi oidaba wari na haisu ai natraga pautak pibagi wari macha amani ga na kan adum maksudum haini ko kwe. So sigi sidi pautak pinaba wari macha adum mani a fable for tomorrow hayengi wari haibani sam haibada sazen ba wari doiduni yengsiengo. There was once a town in the heart of America. America is a baiwani, it can be applied to India, it can be applied to Manipur. There was once a town in the heart of America where all life seemed to live in harmony with its surroundings. Magi America gi mayai da leba town amgi wari ni. So sida leba keno mayamse magi surrounding the lay mayam siga yanana padzana lay ni havani panbi bi boy vera mi boy get kai boy ge. The town lay in the midst of checkerboard of prosperous farms with fields of grain and hillsides of orchards where in spring white clouds of bloom drifted above the green fields. Town ze kaino da lay re mayai da lay re ma se da gi ma se prosperous farms lay yamna ke ni but farm da hori bo kholi me ba chana hore pale hai re kai me pale with fields of grains and hillsides of orchards lay ba field grain me am cheng da gi wheat da gi what mayam ma kaino hore cheng hai phau pale ko le tore adagi hillsides hill ching mai dana kai lere orchards mayama haikon lekon mayam lere where in spring Yeningtha lere basi hoji hariba picture mayam sini ko white clouds of bloom drifted above the green fields angu bolechin makhada sangtrek samwa field gi mathakta pair ka chale in autumn asit awan tha da kai dore oak oak se uni natra uyung banbi oak and maples ni mai ti lon dai khangdre kai ko ke and birch isu khangdre udi u ngak tani ko moi sing se kamai to ke bu atam yor ko matam da sira wan tha yor ko matam sira moi ki mana se kelam dai ta ngangsal yellow sang kani ngangsal kani moi pan bi sing se set up a blaze of color that flamed and flickered across the backdrop of pines. So oak, maple, birch mayams in a color hong e machu mayama mai machu da lai phatsare duga maning na background na kari lei hebu uchan pandi maya amga horga lei. Then foxes lamhui bark in the hills lamhui hongami chingda, and the deer silently cross the fields saji mayam na tumin fields alami half hidden in the mist of the autumn mornings. So ayuki lechin thab da lot tan khagan phajana di grama roidana aduni hai half hidden in the mist of the autumn mornings. Along the roads laurels the green shrubs ma'am and evergreen or the ma'am livni Viburnum sisu lay sat pa shrub makalam ni berry ga panba and elders in a udi furniture ma'am sunny and haiko great ferns and wildflowers delighted the travelers eye ferns ke kamyam dina koi khongbani nakan na yam hongnabani akoi gi sida and wildflowers wild flower ma'am delighted the travelers eye through much of the year sahi chupa sigumba laurel ma'am na viburnum eder then ferns they kai dei ma'am sina akoi gi travel lakpa ma'am gi mamit nungai helami. Even in winter, the roadsides were places of beauty. Winter the powder kaitore huziki mafamdo dum phajai haibani where countless birds came to feed on the berries and on the seeds heads of the dried weeds rising above the snow. Winter the powder ujek makal ami tingam dagi ujek makal ami berry sabala ami dagi di kaidoba snow dagi tang maton likhat la leiba napi singbi ka me anda pan ba ke haini mahi de ke de me ma so chabla. The countryside was in fact famous for the abundance and variety of its bird life. Countryside se edore famous oi countryside ai taraga di town lagi khara lap khara khar chatharaga leiba countryside oi doini famous for the abundance and variety of its bird life. And when foot of migrants was pouring through in spring and autumn, people traveled from great distances to observe them. So countryside say famous oi kidobugi bird makal mayamam uche makal mayamam leibagi masi the famous oi. And when the foot of migrants was pouring through in spring and autumn, people traveled from great distances to observe them. So even migrants mayamam so lakpagi wari ni say jida say dagi mi mayamam so travel tori sigi moi mayam ji yeng migratory birds mayam Manipur da phau da migratory birds mayam lakpani ko even nganu gi species na khara hena oram gadaba male sapsana maming ke ka mayam ding so haibang amdre husik so say sida oina focus to si aduguma mayam laire mi na bukta ara da yeng balak na. Others came to fish the streams which flowed clear and cool out of the hills and contain shady pools where trout lay. So mi kharana stream the stream ising jendarak pada kidore nga phabala ami natra. So kada ching dagi aing ising clear we am ta paduda stream moina la paduda nga mayam lem doini adu phabala. So it had been from the days many years ago when first settlers raised their houses, sank their wells and built their barns. Sida hojik high baze. Say many years ago ni hojiki described the women that many years ago ahamba houses built ogiba dagidi wells my guha pika mem ising tagiba kot giba ising mami kaino ta thagiba dagi barns mem ahamba sa barns ade akoi gi kot kumani mo grain ka mem store tongna sagiba ahamba sagib do dagi sahi kaya mamang dane hai gize thaini gi hai tare describe the version hauzi gizina then kidor kebu a strange blight crept over the area. Blight at the panbi disease ni plant disease amathole crept over the area uziki area mafam se town sida and everything began to change. Some evil spell had settled on the community. Mysterious melodies swept the flocks of chicken, the cattle and the sheep sickened and died. So uziki yamna phattaba spell am lakpai type ta tawre mysterious melodies swept the flocks of chicken laina mysterious of kai lain kai na hali no di khangdaw kari na no khangdaw ama thole chicken mayam na hale the cattle and the sheep sickened and died. Cattle mayam sheep mayam nare adugasi everywhere was a shadow of death. So everywhere ze mapam khodimak se gloomy or mani hai tare nungai by joy adu ki uramaroi mahung ne darkness lay bi type ta. The farmers spoke of much illness among their families. Families mayam sida moi maseng wari sana tu ayambana illness mayam gi anaba mayam gi wari sana re. In the town, the doctors had become more and more puzzled by new kinds of sickness appearing among their patients. Down to the doctor mayam se sum puzzled ware thangak kari lain kari tholai no kari tohalai no. They were puzzled. My patient there had been several sudden and unexplained deaths. Mayamama suddenly not only among adults but even among children who would be stricken suddenly while at play and die within a few hours. Ahanda kaktanatre angang the pawada nakale Pudakta nakle aduga pung khara lerga leitabuga su yaure. There was a strange stillness. Magic miracle tadaba yam strange oina tuminna leiba strangeness ama strange oiba stillness ama lei. The birds, for example, where had they gone? Ujek mayam kadai chakrage. Many people spoke of them puzzled and disturbed. Mayam na kadai chakrage na moise ngangnei puzzled away and they feel disturbed. Kainom soide di khange they were disturbed. Kaino khangdabai wa khaktani. The feeding stations in the backyard were deserted. Feeding station ching yan bham kaino to bham du mayam deserted were kanam leitre. The few birds seen anywhere were moribund. Uche kharadi uriba uche kharado moribund hai the at a point of death serum die hai tam ni natraga moise vigor yaung da excitement yaung da yamna pandhara lei hai ta uriba uche kharase kharadi uri they tremble violently and could not fly moising se ni ami aduga moise paiba ngamam de. It was a spring without voices. Yeningtha Lonthoktraba Yeningtha ibdo oire. On the morning that had once throbbed with dawn of chorus of robins, catbirds, doves, jays, wrens, and scores of other bird voices, there was now no sound. Only silence lay over the fields and woods and marsh. So matamamada makhol mayam taramba robins ki, catbirds ki, doves ki, jays ki, wren ki, scores ki voices mayam taramba do hojikti amata tagidre. Fields da woods da marsh da amata tagidre. Marsh have the koi part ki time ko wetland koi kino the lazy Lonthok taga leba. On the farms the hen brooded but no chicken hatched. Farm mayamam da yen marum di ko mi adubu no chick hatched. Machadi tholaktre hatch pork trap kai drake no top trap. The farmers complained that they were unable to raise any pigs. The litters were small and the young survived only a few days. Pigs mayamam na kaidore ok mayamam ok loiba mayamam na kaidore complain tore madudi moigi ok macha mayam du kuina hingde no me khani khaing mo pungsi da sire. The apple trees were coming into bloom, but no bees droned among the blossoms, so there was no pollination and there would be no fruit. Apple trees mayam same panbi mayam kaidore lay di sale adubu khoi di later khoi manak the paidre no kaidore pollination tawdre di kaidore mai pandre. The roadsides, once so attractive, were now lined with brown and withered vegetation as though swept by fire. Lambi nakanda aduki matik attractive oramba mid pleasing oramba mayam no kaidore hojikti brown were pathare main chakhibdam. These two were silent, deserted by all living things. Even the streams were now lifeless. Anglers no longer visited them, for all the fish had died. So roadsides is silent oire, moisu silent oire. Not only that, karisu silent oire. The streams, nga mayam lo see the stream mayam so now they are the streams were now lifeless. In the gutters, under the eaves, and between the shingles of the roof, a white granular powder still showed a few patches some weeks before it had fallen like snow upon the roof and the lawns and fields and streams. So, the roof da kaida lawns da fields da stream da kari tagi haibu huziki anguba granular powder khara mayam chai thogalirami. Perhaps it was the cause. We don't know. No witchcraft, no enemy action had silenced the rebirth of new life in this stricken world. The people had done it themselves. Witchcraft na tawunati, enemy na tawpunati. Say hujik thoiba events hujik silence the wize. Springs who silence the wize. Me people akoina thowanjabanisi. Cynical Fable for tomorrow and I say haying sigise thorpaya na man hide sig authorjina. This town does not actually exist. But it might easily have been 1,000 counterparts in America or elsewhere in the world. But easily, oirambadi yai. Oirakpa yai. Possibility of exudum lairibani. I know of no community that has experienced all the misfortune I describe. Kana exceed high me am experience taugiba community di ma khangde. Yet every one of these disasters has actually happened somewhere. Kadai the nomadi Lonthoktraba disaster never man described is. And many real communities have already suffered a substantial number of them. A grim specter has crept upon us almost unnoticed, and this imagined tragedy may easily become a stark reality we shall know. What has already silenced the voices of spring in countless towns in America? This book is an attempt to explain. So, tasing nasigi book sena I say hojiki spring mayam voices of spring mayam silence the wise Yeningtha gi makhol mayam mas thogan gidri se karina thogan gidri no se explain tawnaba attempt to explain tawnaba honaba lyric neb sig silent springs. So mostly mo the yaw is a DDT dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane hujiki pesticides sina tagi tholakpa effect mayam ni ko hujiki hairiba mayam se yam yawre aduni mana phattaba peka mayam do adugi matang dani mana se isi irak toise taseng sing na keno ga phajana khangdringai da mana di hana sumai thogan ba hore na hai ba horam ne mayam sina mawalo bi da bai tare dagi di phattaba mayam tholok dagi di hojik the India daga se ban tawramni in agricultural use agriculture the siznaba yade khotti adna ban tawgrabani, but it is used in kang hat padara ke kamyam daga di khara di dum siznaribani. But anyway DDT khattagi nate sida apply taw yai se sida okay sida Rachel Carson masamaksu yaugzare atai mayam dasu apply taw ya doini akoina hujik kaino chapkhalakpai matungina food hena dakar tarakpai matungina hidang makhal mayam sizinarambani adugi phattaba kai ka mayam jisu mayam lei ko aduna bo koina organic pani ga hainani bani sigi matang da haitam ni mana yamna phajana explain the way. If you have a chance laitargadi you should read it. Positive the chapter 1 the loy record just the fable of for tomorrow I say. So anyway sikakani aina sigi paning badi I'll meet you all next time.